I Have No Mouth, and I Must Scream by Harlan Ellison. Part 3.
The hurricane had indeed, precisely, been caused by a great mad bird, and it flapped its immense wings. We had been traveling for close to a month, and Am had allowed passage open to us, only sufficient to lead us up there, directly under the North Pole, where he had nightmared the creature for our torment. The whole cloth had he employed to create such a beast? Where had he gotten the concept? From our minds? From his knowledge of everything that had ever been on this planet he now infested and ruled? From Norse mythology it had sprung. This eagle, this carrion bird, this rock, this Hugurgelmir. That's a word. The wind creature, Huracan incarnate. Gigantic, the words immense, monstrous, grotesque, massive, swollen, overpowering beyond description. There, on a mound rising above us, the bird of winds heaved with its own irregular breathing, its snake neck arching up into the gloom beneath the North Pole, supporting a head as large as a two-door mansion, a beak that opened slowly as the jaws of the most monstrous crocodile ever conceived. Sensuously, ridges of toughed flesh puckered about two evil eyes, as cold as the view down into a glacial crevice, ice blue, and somehow moving liquidy. It heaved once more and lifted its great wet-colored wings in a movement that was certainly a shrug. Then it settled and slept. Talons, fangs, nails, blades. It slept. Am appeared to us as a burning bush and said we could kill the hurricane bird if we wanted to eat. We had not eaten in a very long time, but even so, Gowison merely shrugged. Benny began to shiver, and he drooled. Ellen held him. "Teddy, I'm hungry," she said. I smiled at her. I was trying to be reassuring, but it was as phony as Neemdok's bravado. "Give us weapons," he demanded. The burning bush vanished, and there were two crude sets of bows and arrows, and a water pistol lying on the cold deck plates. I picked up a set. Useless. Neemdok swallowed heavily. He turned and started the long way back. The hurricane bird had blown us about for a length of time we could not conceive. Most of that time we had been unconscious, but we had not eaten. A month on the march to the bird itself, without food. How much longer to find our way to the ice caverns and the promised canned foods? None of us cared to think about it. We would not die. We would be given filth and scum to eat, of one kind or another, or nothing at all. Am would keep our bodies alive somehow, in pain, in agony. The bird slept there. For how long, it didn't matter. When Am was tired of it being there, it would vanish. But all that meat, all that tender meat. The lunatic laugh of a fat woman rang high and around us in the computer chambers that led endlessly nowhere. It was not Ellen's laugh. I had not heard her laugh for 109 years. In fact, I had not heard. We walked. I was hungry. Twink break! We moved slowly. There was often fainting, and we would have to wait. One day he decided to cause an earthquake, at the same time rooting us to the spot with nails through the soles of our shoes. Ellen and Neemdok were both caught when a fissure shot its lightning bolt open across the floor plates. He disappeared, and we were gone. When the earthquake was over, we continued on our way, Benny, Gorson, and myself. Ellen and Neemdok were returned to us later that night, which abruptly began a day, as the heavenly legion bore them to us, a celestial chorus singing, "Go down, Moses." The archangel circled several times, and then dropped hideously mangled bodies. We kept walking, and for a while later, Ellen and Neemdok fell behind us. They were no worse for wear. But now, Ellen walked with a limp. Am had left her that. It was a long trip to the ice caverns to find the canned food. Ellen kept talking about Bing cherries and Hawaiian fruit cocktail. I tried not to think about it. The hunger was something that had come to life, even as Am had came to life. It was alive in my belly, even as we were in belly of the earth. And Am wanted the similarity known to us. So we heightened the hunger. There was no way to describe the pains that had not happened. Eaten for months brought us, and yet we were kept alive. Stomachs that were merely cauldrons of acid, bubbling, foaming, always shooting spears of silver-thin pains into our chests. It was the pain of the terminal ulcer, terminal cancer, terminal paresis. It was unending pain. As we passed through the caverns of rats, as we passed through the path of boiling steam, as we passed through the country of the blind, as we passed through the slough of despond, as we passed through the vale of tears, and we came, finally, to the ice caverns. Horizonless, thousands of miles in which the ice had formed in silver and blue flashes, where novas lived in the glass. The down-dropping stalactites as thick and glorious as diamonds that had been made to run like jelly, and then solidified in graceful eternities of smooth, sharp perfection. We saw the stack of canned foods, and we tried to run to them. We fell in the snow, and when we got up, we went on. Benny shoved away and went at them, and pawed at them, and gummed at them, and gnawed at them, and he could not open them. Am had not given us a tool to open the cans.
They don't have a can opener. What an asshole.
Then he grabbed a 3-quart can of guava shells and began to batter at the ice bank. The ice flew and shattered, but the can was merely dented, while we heard the laughter of a fat lady, high overhead and echoing down and down and down the tundra. Benny went completely mad with rage. He began throwing cans as we all scrambled about in the snow and ice, trying to find a way to end the helpless agony of frustration. There was no way. Then Benny's mouth began to drool. He flung himself on Gorson. In that instant, I felt terribly calm, surrounded by madness, surrounded by hunger, surrounded by everything but death. I knew death was our only way out. Amma kept us alive, but there was a way to defeat him. Not total defeat, but at least peace. I could settle for that. I had to do it quickly. Benny was eating Gorson's face, Gorson on his side, thrashing snow. Benny wrapped around him with powerful monkey legs, crushing Gorson's waist. His hands locked around Gorson's head like a nutcracker, and his mouth ripping at the tender skin of Gorson's cheek. Gorson screamed with such jagged-edged violence, and that stalactites fell. They plunged down softly, erect in the receiving snowdrifts. Spears, hundreds of them, everywhere. Protruding from the snow, Benny's head pulled back sharply as something gave all at once, and a bleeding raw white, dripping of flesh hung from his teeth. Ellen's face, black against the white snow, dominoes in chalk dust. Nimdok with no expression but eyes. All eyes. Gorson half conscious. Benny, now an animal. I knew Am would let him play. Gorson would not die, but Benny would fill his stomach. I turned half to my right and drew a huge ice spear from the snow. In an instant, I drove the great ice point ahead of me like a battering ram, braced against my right thigh. It struck Benny on the side, just under the ribcage, and drove up through his stomach and broke inside him. He pitched forward and lay still. Gorson lay on his back. I pulled another spear free and straddled him, still moving, driving the spear straight down and through his throat. His eyes closed as the cold penetrated. Ella must have realized what I had decided, even as fear gripped her. She ran at Nimdok with a short icicle, and he screamed and into his mouth, and the force of her rush did the job. His head jerked sharply as if it had been nailed to the snow crust behind him. All in an instant. There was an eternity beat of soundless anticipation. I could hear Am draw his breath. His toys had been taken from him. 3 of them were dead, could not be revived. He could keep us alive by his strength and talent, but he was not God. He could not bring them back. Ellen looked at me, her ebony features stark against the snow that surrounded us. There was fear and pleading in her manner. The way she held herself ready, I knew we had only a heartbeat before Am would stop us. It struck her, and she folded towards me, bleeding from the mouth. I could not read meaning into her expression. The pain had been too great, had contorted her face, but it might have been, "Thank you. It's possible. Please." Some hundreds of years may have passed. I don't know. Am has been having fun for some time, accelerating and retarding my time sense. I will say the word now. Now. It took me 10 months to say now. I don't know. I think it had been some hundreds of years. He was furious. He wouldn't let me bury them. It didn't matter. There was no way to dig up the deck plates. He dried up the snow. He brought the night. He roared and sent locusts. It didn't do a thing. They stayed dead. I'd had him. He was furious. And I thought Am hated me before. I was wrong. It was not even a shadow of the hate he now slavered from every printed circuit. He made certain I would suffer eternally and could not do myself in. I left my mind intact. I can dream. I can wonder. I can lament. I can remember all 4 of them. I wish. Well, it doesn't make any sense. I know I saved them. I know I saved them from what was happening to me. But still, I cannot forget killing them. Ellen's face. It isn't easy. Sometimes I want to. It doesn't matter. Am had altered me from his own peace of mind, I suppose. He doesn't want me to run at full speed into a computer bank and smash my skull, or I hold my breath till I faint, or cut my throat on a rusted sheet of metal. There are reflective surfaces down here. I will describe myself as I see them. I am a great soft jelly thing, smoothly rounded, with no mouth, with pulsating white holes filled by fog where my eyes used to be, rubbery appendages where my arms once were, bulks rounding down into legless humps of soft, slippery matter. I leave a moist trail when I move. And he turned into a snail? Blotches of diseased, evil gray come and go. Blotches of diseased, evil gray come and go on my surface, as though light is being beamed from within. Outwardly, dumbly, I shamble about, a thing that could never have been known as a human, a thing whose shape is so alien a travesty that humanity comes more obscene for the vague resemblance. Inwardly, alone, here, living, under the land, under the sea, in the belly of Am, who had recreated because our time was badly spent, and we must have known unconsciously that he could do it better. At least the 4 of them are safe at last. Am will be all the matter for that. It makes me a little happier, and yet Am has won. Simply, he has taken his revenge. I have no mouth, and I must scream. Thanks for listening. Subscribe, like, dislike, because I think they're gonna remove the dislike button eventually. So be sure to dislike my video if you absolutely liked it, because that's how I know people will watch my videos. Okay, sayonara!